Okay, so it's very simple to make a very cheap arcade spinner with an optical mouse. Let me show you some other games this works with. So it's nice and responsive, as you can see here. Very accurate movement, nice analog controls. But let's show you how it works. So this is a mouse just the same as this one, which cost me £1 years ago from eBay, and it's upside down, and all it's doing is passing this wheel over the optical sensor. So guides I'd seen before used ball mice, and they were much more complicated and you had to really set quite a lot up. But with an optical mouse, all you really need is something like this. Now I've 3D printed this, but you don't need to. If I take this bit off, and this is actually from a block connector. I just took it apart so that I could attach it to this spindle, and this is just a wall plug. So if I pull this off, you can see this is just a shaft sticking straight out of the mouse. I just drilled into the mouse, and as long as this hole is very central, and I'm not sure where I got this, I just found it in my toolbox, but you don't need this. So one of my early attempts was something like this, a spray can lid. I actually had a blue one which was pretty decent. It was pretty responsive. Now you can see the hole's not big enough on this one because this shaft gets bigger as it goes down. But I also have this, which was some cotton buds, and this actually wasn't bad. This did work even when it wasn't secured. So if I get another game up, so let's go for Arkanoid. And at the moment I'm using this Xbox controller to control Retropie, but also some of the buttons and some of the joysticks. So for Tron I set it up that this is the trigger and this is the joystick, so I can use one hand for this and one hand for the dial. So let's just put some coins in and hit start. So not secured in any way, just a hole punched in the bottom of it, and you'll see that it still works. It's really awkward from the angle I'm at. And sensitivity is all adjustable in the menus of Retropie, but as you can see, all working fine. But the crucial bit is definitely to get this very central. I did have this early design and the hole wasn't in the center, and it definitely is much more sketchy, especially with things like Tron, which is very sensitive to it. And the base of this, you can see, is pretty smooth, but not super smooth. You could iron it to get it better, but if you get the right can lid, you could cut down this side of it and that would do a really good job. Now I already had a load of the bits I needed from my Dremel, but you can get the bit that's in here on its own very cheap. So basically these disc spindles are the ideal thing for it. So they've got a screw on one end, so we just take that out. And the purpose of them is that you can use these discs to sand things down with your Dremel. So that basically goes on and you can cut through things and sand things down. But with the mouse, all I did was took this part off, so there was a couple of screws in here, and Dremeled through this bit. In fact, let's try it with this mouse if this comes apart. Now you might want to save these as much as you can because they come in handy, because when this is spinning, you want the disc to be touching these bits because obviously they're designed to be nice and smooth. In fact, is there a screw in the middle of this? No, no screw in the middle. Maybe it just pulls apart. Ah, it just pulls apart. So what we need to do is drill through this side. This one might not lend itself quite as well. No, it'll probably be alright actually. So again, nice and central. That should be it. And then we can pop the screw in. And just tighten it up. And then we just make it a bit tighter from the underside. Okay, put it back together. That's pretty easy. And all I've done with this, I saw this in another video, is just hollowed it out basically so it matches the mouse. Now obviously it's not going to match this one at the moment, but that's okay. And then pop this on. and plug in. So is this going to work? I can see it turning the light. Yeah, that's working, and that actually feels less jittery. This particular disc is only just catching the pointer. It needs to cover it completely, really. So if I go back to this one, which isn't central, so it's not going to work as well, but let's give it a try. You can see the light coming through the 3D print shows that the mouse is being activated. Yeah, that's working. And if anything, I think this is probably a better mouse than the other one. Definitely feels less jittery. Yeah, happy with that. That's really good. And it's gone on a really slow mode, which is really handy for me. But it's definitely responsive. That's working exactly as it should be. This Biscoff lid would do the trick, but I'm not hungry enough to eat a whole tub of it. Now, I'm very fortunate to be sent 3D printers to test, and so I'm going to print out one. This is the template I used before, but as you can see, it's very tall, and it doesn't need to be that tall. If I open it up in Cura, so on my desktop, I guess it's this one. Yeah, so this is the original. So we zoom into this, and then if I click on it, it gives me the option to resize. And you can actually just resize by the size of it. So you can see it's 40 millimeters at the moment. 80 would definitely cover it. So if I change this to 80, and this one to 80 as well, if I turn off uniform scaling, let's do this as 10. I reckon that'll probably do it. So let's slice that. So that will make it available for my printer. 1 hour and 11 minutes. So I need to save that. Let's call it 80 millimeter. I can then pop that on my USB stick. Let's get rid of the old one. Now I can pop my USB stick in the printer and hit print. It's this one here, and confirm. And I've got an old Ring doorbell which I no longer pay a subscription for, but it still works and you can use it from anywhere and it just works great. So if I tap on Ring, and as you could see, I could zoom in and check everything was going okay. Okay, so the bigger one has printed out and I've just cleared out the hole, and I'm hoping this will still screw in. I still don't remember what that came from, but I had it in my toolbox, so I used it. So the first one I printed was much thinner, and because this shaft is so thick, it wouldn't work with this little adapter, which I still haven't worked out where I got it from. But I printed a thicker one, so this is 2 centimeters tall. And if we pop that on the top, you can see that I can spin it around, it's nice and central, and because it's heavier, you really don't need to fasten it down. It works fine as it is. I've got Retropie on here, and the theme I'm using is Zoid. So let's launch Arcade, and we'll go for Space Invaders. It definitely feels responsive, and I can spin it as well. I'm not going to be able to get that, am I? No, definitely not. So Space Invaders is definitely one of the easier games to do this on, but it's definitely coping with it well. Not a lot of chance. Oh no! One left. Right, so try something else. This is Super Sprint, and the dial is nice and responsive. I need to work out better braking on corners because it's quite tight, and this is an easy course. But as you can see, it's working fine. I'm just about to start to lap them. It's better in the arcade with a big steering wheel, but this is cool. And the game that I was most interested in trying is Tron. Yeah, no problem with the tanks. And you can tell it almost most on the arm on this. Yeah, that's better already. So it is, again, it's a little sensitive, but it's definitely smoother. You don't need it on light cycles, but we'll have a go anyway. Oh, that was nice. Yeah, definitely need a different joystick setup, but the dial is definitely working fine. Arkanoid. It's nice and responsive. I think it's slightly better on this mouse than the other one. Just feels a bit smoother. Aztarac. So this is Aztarac, which takes some getting used to, but I did manage to configure it. Oh, it's so hard. Yeah, it really takes some getting used to. Let's get these guys. But you can see the dial's working fine. And the trick was, if I press the right stick, the input was to only configure the Y and the Z on analog. And you can see I've got the mouse decrease and increase configured. And it works, it's just super, super hard. So Blasteroids, to accelerate and fire. And I can drive around, yeah, that's good, or fly around. Yeah, that's decent. That's very playable. So if I show you those controls, so that's what I've got set up. I did try with this being blank, but if you just turn the mouse, it seems to enable it and seems to enable the speed to be faster, and this is just up and down on the mouse. And then these two buttons configured for accelerate and fire. Now Chase HQ works, but it's not properly configured, as in it's not very analog. It works for left and right, and I haven't tried it with this new mouse yet. Yeah, so it's not very analog. It's kind of left and right, and that's it. Which this game is quite forgiving, as in if I go full, it seems to make it around every sharp corner. Be interesting on some other driving games. Oh, it's definitely playable. It does feel alright.
Hold on, man.
Yeah, that sharp corner was... I was going to say that sharp corner was no problem. Crater Radar. Couldn't get Crater Radar to recognise the dial for some reason, which is a bit of a shame because it looks like it might be quite cool. Forgotten Worlds. The dial's the opposite way around on this, but it is working and it's nice and responsive. Yeah, definitely happy with that. So we can spin it all around, you can see that it's working nicely. Kozmik Kroozr. And this seems to be working alright. The dial is only in sort of, what, 8 positions, I guess it is. But it's controllable, it's definitely responsive, and it doesn't seem to miss anything. Nice and smooth again. I'm just terrible at the game. I'm guessing I have to avoid that pink thing. Doesn't look very inviting. And I think that's it. So, really pleased with how it's turned out. Super cheap way of setting up a mouse to work as a spinner on Retropie. Hope all this helps. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe.